It's a pretty rare day when I don't get a message from someone asking me how I've set up my life in the way that I have. I'm incredibly fortunate enough to be able to travel the world surfing with most of my business being online, though, quick note, I do a certain amount of in-person coaching throughout the year as well. Now, importantly, I didn't come from money. I had very little of it most of my life. I didn't go to private school. I didn't go to university, but I was lucky enough to be introduced to ideas through books mostly that completely changed my outlook on life and business and allowed me to escape the matrix. I want to share and summarize those books with you today. We're going to work through these books in ascending order of importance, so that means I'll save the most significant book until the end. Now, just a quick note, let's define what I'm referring to as the matrix now, because I can already smell offended people. I would consider the matrix working in a job or living a life that you don't enjoy, an existence where you feel like you're not thriving or finding growth or fulfillment. You feel like perhaps you're not in control of your life, or rather your time. Now, that's what I would consider the matrix in the context of this video. Obviously, I'm not talking about situations out of people's control, like being born somewhere where it's not economically or socially possible to build an online business. I want to acknowledge right here that I'm very privileged in the sense that I was born in Australia in this day and age and have access to loads of helpful modern tools to achieve the things that I have. But let's see if by diving into the helpful resources that enabled me to achieve my goals, that I can help you do the same. Number one, Born Rich. I read this book and then actually did it as a weekend seminar when I was about 21 years old. And despite the corny name, and to be honest, despite the corny delivery of the material, this concept really changed my life. It was written by a guy called Bob Proctor. And it basically honed in on the self-image we all have in our subconscious. And in order to achieve change in our physical lives, in reality, we first need to change the image and expectations, and thus vibration, that we have in our subconscious mind. That concept underpinned most of the information in the book and the seminar, and it was my main takeaway. To put it more simply, how you think and feel about yourself and the sort of life you expect to live is generally what you get. So over time, I gradually challenged my own expectations and self-image to the point where I actually started to expect to be successful in business and to live the life of my dreams. It sounds overly simplistic. It wasn't. Some of us, and I would have included myself in this category back then, hold some pretty deeply rooted and limiting self-images or beliefs. I really struggled with the idea that I deserved to live the life of my dreams and had to battle with that over the years. And eventually it started to actually feel normal when my goals started being achieved and abnormal when they weren't. And I think that's the place you want to be if you're trying to escape the matrix. And Born Rich helped me get there. Number two, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. This book's by Joseph Campbell, who's a famous psychologist, and it's actually quite well known. It was published in 1949, but I actually think it's still extremely relevant today. The reason this book helped me so much, and the reason it's helped so many others, is because it settled for me the fundamental ideas I had around the importance of storytelling. I knew from a really young age that I wanted to tell stories in various formats, written, audio, visual, but for some reason I had this idea that it wasn't enough of a contribution to the world. I felt like I should get into politics or I should become an activist if I wanted to change the world. But this book allowed me to see the massive, massive cultural significance, world-changing potential of storytelling. That's essentially what the book is about. It describes the hero's journey, which basically underpins the world's most significant myths, legends, religions, and forms the basis of most films and books. Basically, Campbell put into words the fact that we all biologically call for and are inherently engaged with story in most parts of our lives. The lessons I learned in this book helped me write and direct documentaries and other projects, and continue to provide foundations for other creative endeavors that I'm working on behind the scenes of this channel. This is a book that I would encourage everyone to read, not just creative people, because I actually think that it's our creativity as human beings that will really stand us in good stead for a potentially AI-dominated future, which is the Matrix, essentially. Number 3 was The Way of the Superior Man by David Dieter. I had a friend recommend this book when I was going through some personal issues, and it immediately challenged me. It was right on the cusp of being too cringy with the vernacular that Dieter used throughout the book, but after about an hour of listening to it on Audible, I settled a little bit and allowed the info to sink in. To be honest, it was pretty life-changing. Coming from a background where masculinity was something that was largely missing from my life growing up, I didn't really have a roadmap to follow when it came to navigating the world from my masculine, and dare say even finding my true masculine. And basically the book encourages us, and I would say it's mostly directed at men, but not universally, to discover our true selves and to unapologetically express that to the world. For those living from their masculine predominantly, he encourages you to live from the heart with openness, honesty, and vulnerability, and then to explore the subsequent strength and assertiveness, or spine, that comes from that. The book really resonated with me because it helped me settle into my masculine energy and to feel comfortable as a man in different settings, such as in relationship and at work. And it reaffirmed other lessons I was learning at the time through psychedelics with regard to the power of being really present and truthful. I think in a world where we're kind of going through a bit of a masculinity crisis at the moment, this book helped me escape the Matrix. Number 4 on the list, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. This book explores in the very best, totally unparalleled way, the world of psychedelics, mental health, and consciousness. What I love about this book is that Pollan explores those things from such an impartial, journalistic, and curious mindset. He goes through the history of psychedelics, how and why they were suppressed, and then tracks their story to this day and age, where they are being used to treat a plethora of mental health conditions, I would say far more successfully than conventional medicine does. I think the reason the book was so significant for me is that I was really sober for most of my life and had a lot of stigma about certain drug classes. And this book really challenged those perceptions at a time when I was ready to be challenged. And it kicked off a journey of psychedelic exploration, which I'm still on today. Now, I want to note there, though, that I've mostly been on psychedelic journeys in a clinical, supervised, or you could say therapeutic setting, not a recreational setting. Now, if you want to talk about the Matrix, now's a good place to start, because this book and the journey that it initiated for me has really reinforced my path away from anything conventional. This work has allowed me to distill and then feel really confident in my mission in life, both from a work perspective and a personal perspective. The things that you say no to in life are more important than the things that you say yes to. And developing really, really high clarity around what it is you want to achieve whilst you're here on this planet enables you to do that with outstanding confidence. And that's how I feel I am today. Also, navigating the challenging world of being self-employed and being on a unique path, I would say, is a lot easier without the weight of unprocessed emotional baggage. The journey of integrating that stuff is arduous and even scary at times, but the unweighting of those burdens is nothing short of amazing and has certainly helped me on my way to escaping the Matrix. The final book, and the most practical step-by-step guide to becoming an entrepreneur or starting your own online business, is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I mean, you probably noticed by now that a lot of the books that I've shared so far are focused more heavily on personal development and spirituality as opposed to the nitty-gritties of business. That's quite intentional. The personal development side of escaping a mundane existence or the Matrix is huge, but there has to be a practical side too, right? And that's where the 4-Hour Workweek came in. I was lucky enough to digest this book when I was 20. I was in Bali and I saw these super cute girls on their laptops in a cafe. This was during a time when it was still a little strange to see someone so focused on their computer in a holiday destination, not normal like it is now. Anyway, I went up and tried to chat them up, and it didn't work. But then I asked them, I was like, hey, what are you guys doing on your computers? And they said, we're working. I'm like, how does that work? And sign me up, because I want out of my full-time job. And they said, read that book over there. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek. Anyway, I picked it up, I bought it, and I read it in 2 days. Tim Ferriss, you spoke to me in that book. It took me 3 months of working a 9-to-5 matrix job to figure out I wanted something different. I was so frustrated with that paradigm, but I had no clue how to get out of it. And in the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim laid out the step-by-step guiding principles on how to start your own location-independent business. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to travel the world, I wanted to work, and I wanted to do something I love. To be honest, I didn't need many other business books after that. I think anything else would have confused things, because the fundamental message that I took away from that book, or the fundamental questions I answered, was this: what are you an expert in? And how can you turn that expertise into an information product or service? And I would put in parentheses there, a highly valuable service. For me, what kept coming up was surfing. And for you, once you figure that out, I believe you can certainly travel the world doing something that you love and never have to work for someone else again. Reading that at 20 was just music to my ears. Now, it took a lot of time and a ton of hard work, and still hard work, to build what I now have as a business, but I've truly loved almost every step of the way, even when I feel like I'm in the weeds. The 4-Hour Workweek gave me a ton of helpful philosophies to navigate this path of business, and for that, I'll be forever grateful. Tim, if you are watching, virtual high five. If I ever see you in real life, I'm probably gonna cross the boundaries and give you a hug, and I'll probably offer you a surf lesson. Well, I hope that helped you think about your exit strategy from the matrix. Again, the matrix in the context of this video being a life or vocation that you simply don't enjoy or don't feel in control of. Maybe let me know in the comments, do you have any other helpful resources that have inspired you to think about escaping the matrix? Maybe you've discovered over the years and they've helped you out. I hope to see you soon. Be sure to join me at thesurfersroadmap.com. It's my online surfing university, or you can join me on Instagram at Kale's Broccoli. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.